Coach, obviously your Google Me statement certainly echoed around quite a bit in our world. And so we did, in fact, Google you in advance of this conversation. And on this program, we have a segment called Celebrity True or False that we normally have with our actors, actresses that come on this program. You are the first person that I would prefer to do this with from the sports world to find out if what we have Googled is in fact true or false. If you don't mind, Coach, indulging me for this moment. Okay, here we go. And we have production value. And again, you're an evaluator. Please feel free to evaluate our production value. Hit it, please, for Coach.
Celebrity true or false?
You can't handle the truth.
What do you think, Coach, of our production value there? Be honest.
In terms of me?
Yeah, no, just in terms of what you think, just in terms of the television the sort of introduction that we just gave you right there.
I love that. True.
Thank you very much, Curt Cignetti. All right, first one up. True or false? You were on the quarterback depth chart at West Virginia behind Oliver Luck. Is that true?
True.
Huh. And did you meet Andrew at any point in time? Or this was obviously before Oliver had Andrew, I imagine.
Yeah, never met Andrew.
Okay. But what was it like being on the depth chart with Oliver Luck back in the day at West Virginia?
Oliver Luck, he was a great player, but, he was a finalist for Rhodes Scholarship. They chose like 5, I think, and he was number 6. And just a mega talented guy that had supreme respect for all of his teammates. And, he was like, in my mind, he was like an idol. You know what I mean? He had it all together, and he was so smart. He was tough guy, man. I mean, he hurt his ankle senior year. They had a trainer said be out 3-4 weeks. He was in that training room 24/7, played that next week against Virginia Tech, could barely walk. I mean, he was a tough competitor.
What sort of quarterback were you?
A bad quarterback.
That's how you evaluate yourself back in the day?
Yeah, I'm a tough evaluator.
All right, next one up. True or false, Coach Cignetti? You coached Phillip Rivers and recruited Russell Wilson at NC State. Is that true?
Mainly true.
Okay. Why is that mainly true?
Phillip Rivers his senior year, and but was with him all 4 years. We were new staff, and he was a January enrollee, and he was just a terrific guy to be around. I mean, just loved to compete and was always up. And I was pretty heavily involved in Russell Wilson's recruiting. Yes, I do get credit for that, but it was a joint effort. And I left before he enrolled. That's when I went with Coach Saban to Alabama.
Right. So what did you see? You could tell Phillip Rivers was it, essentially, back then? Coach, you could tell?
You could tell the very first spring practice once you were out there on the field. I mean, he was just distributing the ball. I mean, he would process it so fast once the ball was snapped. He saw it before the coaches did. And, people would talk about his release, but, it was accurate. And, he was so competitive, man. He'd get in fights with linebackers. And, he was built like a tight end. And, he never had a bad day. I mean, a great one, all-time great one.
He got into a fight with linebackers, Phillip Rivers, back in the day?
In practice, oh yeah. Well, Chuck Amato was the head coach, and he's a pretty fiery guy, D-line guy, came from Florida State back when they really had it rolling, was with Coach Bowden. And, practices were pretty competitive, and something happened. Him and Pat Thomas, who played for the Jags, they got into it a little bit.
Okay. And
I can't remember all the details.
What did you see in Russ, though, Coach? Because, you could say overlooked his entire career, even now that he's 2-0 in his first couple starts for the Steelers. What did you see in Russ back in the day?
Really a sharp guy. His grandfather was like the president at Norfolk State, and really alert and smart. Wasn't the biggest guy in the world, but could really spin the ball. And we were looking for a quarterback. And I'll tell you who actually turned us on him was my brother, who was the offense coordinator at the time at UNC. Mm-hmm. And he tried to make a pitch for Russell, but they had already taken their quarterback, New York, whose brother was a basketball player at Duke. Can't remember his name now. And so couldn't take another. And then he came to our camp and really impressed us. And he really liked NC State quite a bit. And well, I mean, what he's done in his career is remarkable. I mean, I think last night was the first NFL game I've watched this year. I actually got to see that new kickoff rule, man. It's pretty weird. Anyway, I mean, that guy, he tore it up last night.
Yeah, no doubt. So you peeked in on to see what Russ was looking like?
Well, yeah, it was Monday Night Football. I wanted to see if Aikman was going to give us any play on TV.
Yeah, he did, though. He did, because Joe Buck is Mr. Indiana, right? You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's world famous, half as famous as his dad.
Well, I guess you could say the same thing, right? Next up, a couple more left for you. Curt Cignetti. True or false, as wide receivers coach at Alabama, you coached Julio Jones and also as a recruiting coordinator there helped recruit Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram to Alabama.
True. And Dante Hightower.
Okay. Let's not forget him.
That's right.
Let's not forget him. So Julio, Hall of Fame talent right from the get-go as well? That you saw that?
Him and Rivers right there and almost down the checklist. Never had a bad day. Great to coach. Couldn't wait to get in the meeting room with him. Would brighten up your day. Competed like a warrior every day at practice. Especially, I'll tell you what, you bring a big-time recruit, now they're called five-star recruits. Back then they weren't. Mm-hmm. He was going to put a show on for that guy at practice. And always had a smile on his face. Always. I mean, one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life. Special guy.
What did you pick up from Saban? And again, that had to be a neat moment for you. Corso on one side, Saban on another side, as college game days in Bloomington for you. What did you pick up from Saban, Coach?
Well, quite a bit. I had been an assistant for 24 years, I think, prior, at schools that are mainly considered P4 nowadays. But I learned how to win from him. And after 1 year with him, like I had learned more than, the previous on how to run an organization, lead people, manage, practice, game strategy, recruiting, structure an organization. But at the end of the day, I learned how to win from Nick.
What do you mean you learned how to win? What form does that take? I don't know. Well,
it's a process, and some of the things I talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. It starts with getting the right people on the bus, wrong people off, and then having high standards and expectations in everything you do, and accountability, and not being afraid to confront people, when they're not living up to the standard, and never lowering your standards, and having a blueprint and a plan of working it daily and improving. And if you're not striving, really you're getting worse, because in this business, the margin for error is very slim. So you're getting better, you're getting worse. But messaging, how to manage a staff, how to lead a staff, how to practice, recruiting philosophy, how to structure a day, month, year. I mean, he was the most organized guy. But you know what? Like, we won 29 regular season games in a row. We took over our first year, we're 7-6, lost to Louisiana Monroe, 11th game of the year, and then won 29 regular season games in a row. And the big thing from him was avoiding complacency, because when you win, you have that good feeling, and you're supposed to enjoy it for 24 hours. But then you got to regain that edge, on Monday as a player, Sunday as a staff member. And, back then you didn't really understand kind of the method, so to speak, all the time. Now as a head coach, you do.
So you've been on the business end? Is that what you're saying from Nick Saban? Once a time?
Well, I even said on game day, because they were talking about me being a maniac in the fourth quarter against Nebraska. We're up about 42 points. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, well, as an assistant, I used to wonder why I was getting my ass ripped in the fourth quarter when we were headed to Alabama. Now I understand. You know what? Because when you have a standard, and your standards are not dictated by the circumstances of the game, okay, then, you got to keep your standards high. And it's easy, human nature is to relax and be happy when you're up like that or going to win. But, consistency and performance, which is the key to the drill if you want to be a champion. And really great competitors are never satisfied, ever, ever, ever. You got to keep the standards high. And it's my job to send the message when I detect things aren't quite where they need to be, regardless of the score, the competitive circumstances of the game. I mean, when you're process-driven, you're playing one play at a time, 6 seconds. A player play's got a life and a history of its own. Fast, physical, relentless, smart, disciplined, poised, not affected by success or failure. On to the next play. You buy into playing that way, then you're going to play your best in those tight games at the end. You're not looking at the scoreboard. The other guy is. You're going to win those close games. But you're also going to become the best you can be. And when you're preparing the right way and you've bought into that and you're committed and disciplined, there's really no self-imposed limitations on what you can accomplish.
And you're an expert identifier of rat poison, I imagine, after your time.
Oh, yeah. We're calling those the warm fuzzies now.
It's very 21st century updating. I appreciate that. Last one for you. This is a simple one. True or false, Coach Cignetti? It's pretty simple. You win. Is that true or false?
That's true.
Okay, very good. Can confirm it. Very good. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.